Hello everybody and welcome. Today we're going to talk about gout. We're going to talk about this very painful disease. For those who may have gout in the past or may have a flare at this point, you guys know how painful this disease can be. Well, today we're going to talk about the emotions behind gout. Gout is a very fascinating disease for me. I love to talk about disease because for me talking about disease is talking about conscious about what your body is telling you. If the disease is there, it's because your body is saying something is not right. Something has to be changed. And those emotions need to be changed. And the disease is here just to tell you, listen, it's time to make some changes. The disease is not here to kill you. The disease is not here to give you pain. Is just to give you awareness. There's something inside you, in those emotions of you, those deep emotions that maybe you don't share with many or none, are there to say it's time to change. And why I say the gout is a fascinating disease, apart from being very painful, is very fascinating because behind each disease is always a story, is history actually behind each disease. Is history also behind each organ. Each organ tells us what that organ is there for. For example, the hands is to do, to grab, to let go, to grab, to keep. So the hands tells us something like that. So when we have problems in our hands, we have problems with those, with what am I doing, maybe my job. When we have issues, let's say with blood, all the diseases with blood, all of them, all are related to family problems, to my blood, to my family. Conflicts where maybe I don't feel part of this family. So each organ and each disease has a story to tell us and has a history behind that also, because even the organ has a history behind. So gout is well known as the disease of the kings. From the very ancient, this disease is well known for that. When Henry VIII, Charles V were very well known for having gout. And also, not a king, but also well known as having gout was also Benjamin Franklin. So this disease that is also well known for having an excess of good food, of bad food maybe, or those foods that supposedly gives you gout. Also the drinks that are associated for you to have, don't have too much wine, don't have too much beer, don't have too much fatty food, because this will give you gout, they say. So back then in history, when the kings used to have gout, they actually took this as a pride, an honor of having it. Why? Because they were well known that if you had gout, was because you could afford those luxury food, those luxury drinks that many couldn't afford. So if you had gout back then, it's because you could afford, because your social status was higher. And that's why they took this as a pride. That was like part of them. It was like they took it like, oh, good, I have this. Although gout was so painful, and it is so painful, and sometimes so excruciating pain that they will suffer, but they took this as pride because with gout they could show this social economic status they were well known for. Which is funny because it gives this contradictory in some ways for what the disease is all for, what are the emotions behind. But before I get into that, we also have to know that gout is most commonly in countries like New Zealand, Australia, United States, Canada and Oman, in that particular order. So why is it that in some countries like New Zealand, so many people will have gout, but not maybe in the South America, let's say? Why is it that these countries will have gout, but some countries will not have it? Why is it that some countries may have diabetes, but they in other countries may not have it? Because it's the history behind each country. And that history, when we open those barriers and we break free from those barriers of only thinking about us and what we're eating, supposedly, and we open ourselves to the possibilities of thinking maybe our ancestors have something to do with this. Maybe the history of my country, the conscious and the beliefs that this country has, and they are associated with these diseases. And maybe this is why we in some countries we have more of these diseases, but we don't have so much of some others, for example. So gout is actually talking about a conflict of being the dominator and being dominated. Conflicts with gout always talks about I am feeling dominated by somebody or something, a situation. But because also gout is associated with the kidneys, and when we talk about the kidneys, we talk about conflicts with liquids, with liquidity in our lives, with the liquids in the life, with our money. So when we talk about gout, we're talking about a conflict of I feel dominated by a situation or somebody, but it has to do also with money, with my economics, my financial situation. Maybe I wasted so much money in the last month. Maybe I had to spend so much money, and I feel like money is not running in my life. I'm having a conflict with money, with what I spend or what I feel I'm gonna be spending soon, and that gives me a problem because I feel fear that the money may not last me, that I'm not gonna have enough money, that I'm gonna need more money. But also with this comes this belief of I feel totally devastated in my life. I feel completely devastated for this situation that is crushing me. I feel completely crushed in this situation that I'm having, that sometimes actually the person even thinks that this situation that they're going through, it's a life of death situation where they go into a survival mode because they need to survive this devastated situation that they are living, where maybe somebody is dominating me, or a situation, maybe I did a bad a transaction with some people and I'm feeling I'm losing all this money, and I have this fear that I may not have money to survive, even to just eat, to starve. Maybe the person goes into that. So you may say, well, what has all this that you are saying with the disease of kings, where the kings had money and they actually, the gout was a way for them to show the world that they have money and they could afford this luxury food or luxury drinks? Because it's not about what you have, it's about how you feel. And everything in life and every disease, it's about our perception that we have towards that situation. So they may have loads of money, they may have all this money to buy all these luxuries, but they may be feeling deep inside they are spending so much, they may feeling dominated by our situation. And let's go back to history then. It's a big domination when you are the king of a country. And what New Zealand Australia and America has to do with all this, and why this? Because I'm not gonna go into the history of each country, but if you go to the history of New Zealand, there were many situations where New Zealand was dominated. They felt dominated, and they may still feel dominated. And if we go to America, we're talking about the American dream. Everybody that goes to America goes for the American dream. Everybody that lives in America always looks for that American dream, for hierarchy, for going up in life. And sometimes when you're not being able to achieve that, you feel that you are being devastated by this situation. But also, let's be honest, if we go to the history of America, America doesn't like also to be dominated. We're not gonna go to the last year with this whole pandemic and how this last president felt dominated by this situation. America feels dominated by China. So if we go into that, that's where some countries may have gout and some others may not have it. And if you go to the history of all of those countries where gout is more commonly known, therefore, then you will see why. But if gout is on the feet, which most of the times we find it on the feet, I have a whole video about feet, and feet is related to our mother figure, to how we feel towards our mother and how we feel with our mother. Or maybe we don't feel supported with our mother, we feel demotivated, and we don't feel completely ourselves with our mother. It's a big conflict with our mother. With me being able to move forward in life, I don't feel like I can be moving forward. And if I have this big conflict with money and how am I gonna be move forward in life, I'm gonna have a conflict with gout on my feet. Now, like I said before, if we have a conflict on our hands, it has to do with what I do, with what I'm able to do, and what I can do at this time. And I also have a video for that, but also I have a video for each finger of the hand, so which each finger has a meaning. So go and look for that video. I'm gonna leave it right here. Also, if the gout is on the elbow, that when the gout is on the elbow, it talks about work, my job, how I feel in my job, in what I do. Maybe I feel dominated with my towards my boss. My boss is a very dominated person, and I just don't like to feel this way. Or maybe I feel like I may gonna lose my job, or maybe I lost my job. And gout appears then on the elbow. Now, if gout appears on the knees, now we're talking about a conflict where now I feel dominated and submitted. Now I feel like I have to be on my knee. I have to be on my knee in front of this situation that I'm struggling right now and that I'm going through. So overall, those are the meaning of each part of the body. If you have gout in another part of the body and you want to know the meaning, please leave your comments below. I love to answer all your messages and posts and comments, so please leave it there. And I hope this has explained to you why we get gout and why we get gout in some countries and not in some others. I always say, please keep yourself open to learn something new. And maybe this opening of yours creates conscious and helps you to heal. I hope this was all good for you and helps you. So for that, until next time, take care and bye-bye.